Most actors have a specific genre they like the best. When these 20 actors tried something new, it totally paid off. Steve Carell is best known for his comedic work, and rightfully so. He's starred in dozens of hilarious movies, and he's Michael freaking Scott. But he showed off his range by starring in the dramatic biopic Foxcatcher, and it paid off by earning him an Oscar nomination. 20 box office flops that are actually worth watching. Ralph Fiennes isn't who you think of when you consider comedic actors, though he has done a few more comedies than you might realize, but that doesn't mean he can't perform well in the genre. The Oscar-nominated actor proved how funny he is in the Grand Budapest Hotel. Robin Williams was such a fantastic actor, but because he was an equally fantastic stand-up comedian, he became best known for his comedy work. But the icon stepped out of his comfort zone a few times to play dramatic roles, with the biggest payoff coming from his turn in Good Will Hunting, which earned him an Oscar, 20 Hollywood summer blockbusters that failed miserably. Hugh Laurie was so good as House in the medical drama that it's hard to imagine that role as a step outside his genre. But back in the UK, before he starred as the Doctor, Laurie was best known for his comedic work. Catherine Tate is one of the funniest ladies in the UK, but she's got range. The actress crossed into unfamiliar territory by joining the classic sci-fi series Doctor Who, and she became one of the best companions the show has ever seen. 20 A-list actors who were once everywhere and then suddenly disappeared. Before Breaking Bad, Bryan Cranston's most notable project was Malcolm in the Middle. While the actor had been in dozens of other projects, he was best known as a sitcom actor, making his turn in Breaking Bad a huge step from the norm. Obviously, he nailed it. Chris Evans rose to fame by being good-looking and starring as Captain America. He's also got credits in Fantastic Four, all of which somewhat siloed him as an action buff. But his performance in Knives Out proved he can do mysteries, and he can do them well. The 25 worst personal creative decisions in Hollywood history. These days, Reese Witherspoon is known for both her comedic and dramatic work, but it wasn't always that way. Her biggest roles in the late 90s and early 2000s were in comedies and rom-coms. But she took on a dramatic role for Walk the Line, and she walked away with an Oscar. The world is far more familiar with Adam Sandler in his comedic roles than his dramatic roles, but it might only be because he's done far fewer of the latter. Sandler proved he's got dramatic chops in Uncut Gems, with many saying he was robbed of an Oscar nomination. TV character deaths that we won't forget anytime soon. Aside from her soap opera days at the very beginning of her career, the bulk of Robin Wright's work was in movies, most of which were small indie dramas. But the actress stepped outside of her comfort zone for the political TV drama House of Cards, and she saved her career. Stand-up comedy is a type of performance, so we shouldn't be surprised when stand-up comics are good performers. But alas, Monique's work in Precious was just another example of stand-up comedians being great dramatic actors. The Oscar belonged to her that year, the most underappreciated bands of all time. John Travolta will always be famous for his work in some of the most iconic musicals of all time. Who else can say they starred in Grease, Saturday Night Fever, and Hairspray? But Travolta is able to do so much more. His work in the classic Quentin Tarantino film Pulp Fiction is all the proof anyone needs. Having a wildly famous breakout role is a double-edged sword. Robert Pattinson was pigeonholed a bit after being one of the faces of the Twilight franchise for many years. Audiences weren't optimistic about his casting in The Batman, but Pattinson played the eponymous superhero wonderfully. 20 actors who became completely unrecognizable in roles. Brendan Fraser wasn't considered a particularly serious actor at the beginning of his career. He was in comedies and movies with lots of commercial appeal, but never in an artistic drama. All that changed when he starred in The Whale. Fraser earned an Oscar, and he revived his career in the process. As far as his entire career is concerned, Ryan Gosling's turn in La La Land wasn't particularly out of genre. He was in the Mickey Mouse Club after all, but it was a bit of a step outside of what Gosling had become best known for. Clearly, though, it was no mistake. How many of these major film debuts of A-list movie stars have you seen? Jane Fonda is an icon. She's got 2 Oscars and even more hardware in her trophy case, most of which came from her dramatic work. Fonda retired from acting in the early 90s, but she returned to the medium in 2005 with the hit comedy Monster-in-Law. Since then, she's done several other comedies, again proving herself to be a legendary talent. Comedy comes easily to Jim Carrey, but it doesn't take much effort for him to do dramatic roles either. At least that appears to be the case if using Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind as evidence. The 20 Greatest TV Weddings. Matthew McConaughey always knew he had range, but it took a while for anyone to give him the chance to show it. The actor was best known for his comedic work, but his role in Dallas Buyers Club and the Oscar he earned from it proved he's more than just a funny guy. How often does Leonardo DiCaprio play a straight villain? He's taken on a wide range of roles, but in Django Unchained, he stepped out as a character who could only be interpreted one way, evil. And he gave a stirring performance. 20 times actors cleverly referenced one of their more famous roles in another film. Robert Downey Jr.'s career has included comedies, dramas, dramedies, and more, but he showed he can really do it all when he starred in Iron Man. Did you enjoy this slideshow?